This portion of the video is going to teach us a lot about Lilly Singh's mindset and how we can apply the opposite to ourselves so we can be more charming, calmer, and happier.
Millions of girls face every day, across every culture, and in every country. And I'm telling you this because being born into this reality set me on a lifetime mission of trying to prove myself and just feel like I was enough.
Everything. Keep that in mind. She keeps saying everything. Also important, notice how she says a lifelong mission to prove that she was enough. That tells us a lot about her mentality. She was driven by negativity, by overcoming, by proving herself. That's not always wrong. A lot of people use very tough situations to drive themselves and to accomplish amazing things. But the problem that can happen is our brains are habits. They're habitual, our behaviors, how we look at things. So she's constantly looking for where she was slighted, why the world is against her, and that is what leads to her these mentalities. And that's something we often want to avoid. We can use negativity to drive ourselves, but be aware of it. Be aware of constantly looking for it.
And I'm not alone in this mission. In fact, us girls, what we desperately want is a seat at the table. It's what every motivational poster, Tumblr post, Instagram account you follow, business article tells us success is: a seat.
Us girls, every Instagram post, every Tumblr post, that is very, very important. That is what is called all or nothing thinking. It's a principle from cognitive behavioral therapy. And unfortunately, the opposite of the proper mentality is what is really popular nowadays. It's pushed. If you are this type of person, this is your experience, and it always is. And all of these people are feeling this way about you, and all of society is like this. The reason this is an important concept in cognitive behavioral therapy is thinking in these all or nothing ways leads to feeling helpless. It leads to being angry. It leads to being anxious. And it leads to depression. So instead of saying all, it might be better to say to yourself sometimes. That gives mental flexibility and can allow you to be calmer, happier, and to be easier to get along with.
And that's been the driving force behind my entire career. Now in 2010, I noticed that no one on YouTube looked like me. There was no South Asian woman who's very loud and uses her hands a lot, giving her take on the world. There was no me in front of a camera. I saw a seat up for grabs. So I got to work and I started a channel under the name Superwoman. Yeah, because although I'm smart enough to do a TED Talk, I'm not smart enough to understand copyright.
Notice when she says no one looked like me, it gets very specific. It's South Asian woman who's loud and used her hands a lot. So she creates a niche for herself. She gets this is me, and other people don't experience the world. It's not just how she looks or her gender, it's also having very particular mannerisms. And that, maybe she's trying to joke, but I recommend personally, what I like to do is when I see a person and I can learn from them, try and learn from them. Don't be too specific, like, oh, that's a woman, I can't do what she does, or that's a really big muscular guy, so what he does is different and won't work for me. It tends to be best to assume that what works for one person will work for oneself. I'm not saying that everyone has the same life experience and things aren't hard for other people, but the thing is, humans, we're not perfect. We don't know everything. And what is the more useful mental model? Is it more useful to say, this worked for somebody, I'm gonna try it and see if it works for me? Or is it more useful to say, I can only learn from people who look just like me, and if they don't, it doesn't work? And then some people, sometimes, even if they see someone who reminds them of themselves and it works for them, they'll still find a reason why it won't. That's not Lilly Singh, but that's the danger that can happen. I had a friend who, he was very insecure about his looks, and I would point out people who looked just like him, who were confident, they were dating, and he'd say, oh, well, that person has this or they have that. So it's best to just assume what could work for you, what can work for other people can work for you.